Good morning, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate your presence. Today is November the 8th, 2022. So I have a news update to share with you. So I will start with the continued peace talk in Kenya between the Ethiopian federal government and the Tigray region authority. So I will start with that one. Then I have more videos I selected for you from different media. The first one is from Citizen TV Kenya. So talking about the continued peace talk and the agreement they made. So let's listen to that one and continue with other presentation. Thank you again for joining me.
Tigrayan forces have established a telephone hotline to help maintain a ceasefire struck last week. In a meeting held at the Moran Center right here in Nairobi and chaired by former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo and Uhuru Kenyatta, the commanders of the forces were tasked with providing the modalities of implementing the agreement.
Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta joined the AU High Representative for the Horn of Africa and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo for talks on the implementation of the Cessation of Hostilities Agreement between the government of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The meeting, convened by the African Union Commission, brought together Ethiopia's Chief of General Staff, Field Marshal Birhanu Jula, and the Tigray Defense Forces Commander-in-Chief, Lieutenant General Tadesse Werede, who are mandated with providing the modalities for ending the war and ensuring a return to normalcy in Tigray region.
In the agreement, we have left a lot for the field commanders to achieve and to attain. Between them, they have exchanged hotline by which they can call themselves if anything is happening.
Indeed, it is a meeting of colleagues who know each other, and colleagues who I am certain at the conclusion of this process will be colleagues who will be working together for the betterment of their country, for the betterment of Ethiopia, for the benefit of our region.
The former presidents who hailed the progress made so far said they expect that in the next 1 month, normalcy would have returned in Tigray region and that all parties will adhere to the Cessation of Hostilities Agreement signed in South Africa last week.
We started in Pretoria. We are inching our way closer. We are now in Nairobi. We are very hopeful next time we'll be in Mekele for our meeting and ultimately celebrate together in Addis Ababa.
The Ethiopian government has committed to abide by the terms of the agreement, urging the military commanders to hasten the process of silencing the guns and facilitate smooth transportation of food and medications to the affected areas.
We are only waiting the generals in Masha to tell us that all the air and the land is clear, both to drive and also land. Once they reach agreement today and tell us it is safe and how to coordinate, we have to begin flying. We have to allow the trucks to reach the food. It shouldn't take us days since they agreed.
On their part, TPLF want the military commanders to ensure that the modalities agreed on will ensure a lasting peace and that no party will renege on their pledges.
We have people starving. We have people displaced. We are talking about millions of people. They need to go back home. They need to rest assured that they will have access to food. Even in some areas, they're not even in a position to harvest.
The discussions by the military commanders, expected to continue for the next 3 days, will bring to an end the suffering of more than 2.6 million people who have been displaced by the war in the last 2 years. The UN Refugee Agency says that more than 9.4 million people are in urgent need of food and other essential aid in the region.
Okay, I'll come back to this video, this disturbing video. Protesters in Iran removing the religious symbol from sheikhs. So I'll come back. So that's the update on Ethio-Tigray problem, Ethio-Tigray conflict, Ethio-Tigray war. So they established, as you heard on this media, the hotline, line of communication between the Tigray region administration and the Ethiopian Federal Authority to discuss if any concern comes or arise from this agreement. For example, breaking the ceasefire, like has been reported last time, the bombardment of cities, the looting of the Tigrayan residents. For that and other issues, they established a hotline, line of communication, which is good. But you heard Getachew Reda, TPLF representative and the Tigray Region Central Command member, talking about the need to, feed the starving people and, bringing back the millions, bringing back home the millions displaced. I expected him to mention about the breaking of ceasefire in the last 2-3 days since the peace deal was signed. He didn't bring that to the attention of the African Union, to the mediators. I don't know why. He talked about starvation, he talked about people displaced, but he didn't mention all the report mentioned in different media about the violation of the ceasefire on part of Ethiopian government and by Eritrean forces. I don't know why. At least publicly, he didn't mention. I don't know what they are talking behind, but I expected him to raise that issue, the bombardment of the cities and the looting of the Tigrayans. So that was the point I was expecting him to talk about, to raise about, unless it's gonna look bad on those media reporting the bombardment of the cities and the intensive oppression by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. So that looks bad. It looks maybe false news, false propaganda. If it is true, this is a guy to know what is happening in Tigray. He is the one raising that ceasefire not honored by Eritreans and by Ethiopian forces. For this time, I didn't hear it. He didn't raise it. I don't know if he might raise this issue behind the closed door. We don't know. So that's the point I take, and I will come back to the other videos. Let me read. The first one is U.S. State Department on this peace agreement. Ned Price, the U.S. State Department spokesperson, mentioned today in a briefing It says, last week's African Union announcement of the signing of a cessation of hostilities between the government of Ethiopia and the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or TPLF, represents, as we have said, significant step towards peace. We again commend the parties for reaching an agreement and applaud the African Union and the government of Kenya and South Africa for helping to drive this process. The parties are in Nairobi in keeping with the provision that the Ethiopian National Defense Fund and the Tigray Defense Force would meet within 5 days to work out the implementation. Also, as provided by the government, a hotline has been established between the two senior-most commanders. These concrete implementation steps reflect a commitment by both parties to, quote, unquote, silence the guns. But more work remains. We understand the agenda for the Nairobi talks will also include the urgent need to expedite humanitarian assistance and restoration of service for Tigray and adjoining affected regions of Afar and Amara in accordance with the cessation of hostilities agreement. The talks are being presided over by the AU high-level panel of former President Obasanjo and Kenyatta, the AU Commission, and with participation of Kenya and South African generals. The observers include the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, and the US represented by our Special Envoy, Mike Hammer. Our Special Envoy is remaining in the region to support implementation of the Pretoria Agreement. We stand ready to continue to support the parties along with the international partners on implementation of the agreement. U.S. State Department. So that is the update on peace talk, and let's continue with other. As I reported last time, and the different media reported, the Oromo iconic figure passed away, Dr. Ali Birra. So different attributes sent to different social media, from ordinary citizens to leaders, politicians, regional governments. All are, sending their attributes on the passing of this legend figure. So I will just read some I selected from, I got from Addis Standard. This one is from Professor Iskel Gabisa on the passing of Dr. Ali Birra. And he got 2 pages very quickly. In July 2012, I visited Ali Muhammad Birra, a pioneer Oromo music artist, singer, composer, and a poet who essentially reinvented Oromo music in his home in Pickering, Ontario. Ali has a recliner perched on a landing at the end of the first flight of stairs to the second level. Okay. of his home to watch television. While having a conversation about the embedded meanings of his lyrics, we talked about how his biography must be written. Finally, he and I agree that his authorized biography should be titled Ali Muhammad Birra, Life, Liberty, and Legend. On the day of his passing, the Oromo nation celebrates his life, pays homage to his musical career, which revolved around the theme of liberty for the Oromo people, and mourns the legend that now left us. Ali Birra, the man, lived an extraordinary life. Ali Birra, the artist, built a career that is the stuff of legend. Two qualities distinguish him from his cohort and successor song artists. The first is the musical style. He pioneered. Early in his life, Ali played the oud, a fretless string lute-like instrument. When he joined an Ethiopian military music band, he played guitar that he tuned as an oud. This innovation laid the foundation of Ali's unique music that combined Oromo traditional diatonic scales with the Indian sounds and Arabian beats, thus blazing a new path for the tone, tenor, and texture of contemporary Oromo music. As such, he helped create Oromo music that blends a rich and variegated tapestry of African, Middle Eastern, and South Asian tones and expressions. The second distinctive of Ali Birra's music is his culturally embedded lyrics, which he deployed to inform, educate, mobilize, and lead the Oromo nation into unity, liberty, and cultural pride. His lyrics always speak to the moment, explaining events and processes, counseling restraint when times are tough, and encouraging protest when political impact seems possible. The theme of Ali's songs always focused on the exaltation of the Oromo nation and the liberation of the people from oppression. As such, his lyrics celebrated everything Oromo, the nation, the land, the indigenous cosmology. Here is the English rendition of some of his influential songs include Galma Ada Kenya Ega Sena Kenya, the repository of our culture, the protector of our history, the vanguard of our unity, and the foundation of our liberty, the Oromo language, the root of Oromo identity. Barnota, ammas barnota, knowledge, and knowledge again. Self-knowledge is the Oromo destination. Authentic knowledge is rooted in history. Its source is our national heritage and the shared culture. The Oromo language is the center pole and the peak. It is self-knowledge that will set us free. Karan galma gada esa. Asabalo Guramalo, which path leads to Abagada's courtyard? I am to go there. and fortify it, and then sit down and narrate its history. We were impoverished when we gave up our culture, our history, and our language, when the ill-informed made us a laughing stock. Our sages saved us with their wisdom. Someone else's scepter may break, but Abagada's scepter would never. We left our story untold, not because the pain we suffered is minor. We left our story untold, not because our history was dreadful. Farewell, my Adero, my hero, Ali Muhammad Musa Abdullah Muhammad Roba Torcho Lafto. You now belong to the ages, but your music and the lyrics will live on. So that is attribute from Professor S.L. Gabisa on the passing of Dr. Ali Birra, citing his very highlighted song. This is from Dr. Lamma Magarsa, also paying his respect for Ali Birra. As you know, Dr. Lamma Magarsa was former president of Oromia region, also former defense minister of Ethiopia, silenced by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. So this is the first time we have his public speech. Lamma Magarsa said the following: I would like to express my deep sadness hearing the death of the respected and loved Honorary Dr. Ali Birra. Ali is the eldest among intellectuals who pioneered the establishment of modern Oromo struggle through music. In addition, he is an intellect who earned love by becoming a voice for all oppressed people of the Horn of Africa. His lyrics and melodies, decorated with his mesmerizing voice, served Oromia for over half a century as a wind of freedom and love. He painted Oromia and patriotism into the imagination of his people. Ali is a teacher of Oromuma. He is a teacher of justice and brotherhood. He was one of the intellects who used to advise, support, and correct me during my tenure in the Oromia regional government. Oromo and all brotherly nations have lost an intellect and a great historian, but there is a great hope in Oromo songs, or in Oromo sons that Ali raised and enabled. The seed he sowed has sprouted and bore fruits. Even though he is gone today, all of his works will remain with us. His name will be written, sung, and remembered forever at the beginning, the list of our heroes. Ali Birra will be sung forever as one family alongside the likes of Hachalu Hundessa, Nuho Govana, Dadi Galan, Osmayo Musa, Ebisa Adunya, and many others will be praised as a family forever. Finally, my brother Ali, may you rest in peace, and may God grant you paradise. I wish condolences to his family and relatives, as well as the entire Oromo and brotherly nations. signature Lamma Magarsa Wako. Credit for this at this standard. So that's from former Oromia region president and from Ethiopia Defense Force Minister, Mr. or Dr. Lamma Magarsa, on the passing of Ali Birra. The following is the attribute from OLA High Command. Let's see what they say. The passing of the legendary Ali Muhammad Birra. The Oromo nation lost a towering figure. Indeed, Art lost one of her devoted sons in Ali Birra. Our deepest sympathy goes out to the Oromo nation, friends of the Oromo families, and friends of Ali Muhammad Birra during this difficult time. We express our heartfelt sadness and condolence to Ali's fans around the world. Born in the Diredoa city of Eastern Oromia, Ali Muhammad Birra lived an incredible life of dedication and service. Throughout his long career that spans decades, Ali Birra served his people as a freedom fighter, educator, and entertainer. Ali was a pioneer of unique styles that are admired the world over. For the Oromos, however, his works play a role that exceeds the standard entertainment value. Ali's music is an essential part of mobilizing the youth, educating the masses, and uniting the Oromo nation under a common purpose. Consistent to a fault, Ali was extremely creative, profoundly artistic, and marvelously melodic across his large body of work. Simply put, he was the greatest artist of his generation, bar none. He was a class of his own. May he rest in power. OLA High Command. Finally, Oda Terbi also tweeted. Oda Terbi is OLA international spokesperson. So he also released a short tweet on the passing of Dr. Ali Birra. Here it reads, Ali Birra, the unmatched legend who elevated Oromo arts to unprecedented heights. Your nation is forever grateful. Rest in power. So that is Oda Terbi. So it's too many. I can't read all of them, but as I said, many dignitaries, including the Prime Minister, regional governors, politicians like Jawar Mohammed, all expressed their condolences and appreciation of the work of Ali Birra. So that's enough. And this one is about Chinese universities outnumbered the United States in a number anyway, in a number of universities, not and standard. In the standard, still the United States holds the position. China outnumbered the United States for the first time in this ranking of the world's best universities. Artificial intelligence is among the few fields that both the US and China regard as a strategic national priority. Among the 2,000 schools from more than 90 countries ranked by US News and World Report, 338 Chinese universities made the list compared to 280 American universities. It is the first time China outnumbered the United States. Results were reported in the media outlets. Best Global Universities ranking released Tuesday. The US and China were followed by Japan, 105 universities, the United Kingdom, 92 universities, and India, 81 universities. The media outlet began its ranking in 2014 as more universities began competing for students, as well as faculty and research investment. The rankings are based on a range of parameters, including research, reputation, publications, conferences, and citation. Student outcomes and individual programs are not included. Although China surpassed the United States by 58 spots, the majority of US universities appear in the top half of the ranking, including 8 of the top 10, the report noted. Yes, still Harvard University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford University, University of California, Berkeley, 1 to 4, still the United States ranked. In the middle, number 5 is University of Oxford, UK. Then continue University of Washington, Seattle, Columbia University, still US. Then number 8, University of Cambridge, UK. So we are still okay, but this outnumbering by China and the challenge we have in economy in universities is not a good sign. So the US, they should pay attention. Okay, that's all I have for reading. Let's watch the videos I shared from different media and end today's presentation. Thank you again. So the first one is protesters in Iran removing turban. So Iran protesters angry about the death of one lady because of the government security forces killed her because of the improper dressing of the cultural dress. This one about COP27 meeting, the leaders. The Prime Minister is also in this, Prime Minister of Ethiopia is also here. All over the world joined in Egypt.
In just days, our planet's population will cross a new threshold. The 8 billionth member of our human family will be born. This milestone puts into
General
perspective what this
Secretary
climate conference is
Guterres
all about.
speaking at
How
COP27
will
meeting
we
in
answer
Egypt.
when maybe 8 billion is old enough to ask? What did you do for our world and for our planet when you had the chance? Excellencies, this UN climate conference is a reminder that the answer is in our hands. And the clock is ticking. We are in the fight of our lives and we are losing. Greenhouse gas emissions keep growing. Global temperatures keep rising. And our planet is fast approaching tipping points that will make climate chaos irreversible. We are on a highway to climate hell with our foot still on the accelerator. The war in Ukraine, other conflicts have caused so much bloodshed and violence and had dramatic impacts all over the world. But we cannot accept that our attention is not focused on climate change. We must, of course, work together to support peace efforts and end the tremendous suffering. But climate change is on a different timeline and a different scale. It is a defining issue of our age. It is the central challenge of our century. It is unacceptable, outrageous, and self-defeating to put it on the back burner. Indeed, many of today's conflicts are linked with growing climate chaos. And the war in Ukraine has exposed the profound risks of our fossil fuel addiction. And today's crisis cannot be an excuse for backsliding or greenwashing. If anything, they are a reason for greater urgency, stronger action, and effective accountability.
Okay, so we appreciate all the media reporters combined all this reporting. That's the General Secretary Antonio Guterres warning about conflict, about global warming for COP27 attendees. The other thing is I think the Iranian protesters went too far by removing the religious symbol or turban from those religious individuals for sheikhs. I think that's too far, according to my opinion. They can refuse to wear for themselves, but if somebody decides to wear it, I think it is too far by running around and removing this religious symbol. So that's my take. And so that will be the conclusion for today. We are watching the peace deal between Tigray Regional Authority and Ethiopian federal government, and we are watching how the hardline created will be used to create more peace and to end the bombardment, the looting of the Tigrayan properties. And still I'm angry why Getachew Reda didn't talk about the widely known bombardment reported by different media on Tigrayan cities. So that's all I'm going to say for today. Please be safe. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back with other updates. So long, everyone.